The moment they are looking for communication officer in NGO, the first thing that comes to their mind is PR. Who comes to manage our social media? Who comes to, as a, the most difficult job to do in NGO is communication. As far as the organization is concerned, communication is media mention. Now, which newspaper mentioned us? Communication is not output. Communication itself is development. And that was why I said, communication is not information dissemination. Communication is empowerment. Communication is negotiation and dialogue. That's communication. It's not about information production and dissemination. That's not communication. So it's not about making noise. It's about building trust. It's about empowerment. It's about ability to mobilize the people to effectively participate on issues affecting them. And that's the only way you build trust. And that was why I said before, when we were interacting, that communication must do three things. One, the people must clearly understand what the issues are. Two, the people must believe that they are part and parcel of the problem, solution. Three, the people must act based on the solution found. If I do edit newsletter for NGOs, fantastic. You have given me activities. January to December, I see beautiful activities. But you want me to edit your newsletter. The question I ask is, and so what? Can I see impact story? Can I see the outcome? Because by the time you have spent $100,000, $50,000, and you have done activities from Lagos, Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, 20 communities, 15 communities, and you can't show impact. You can't show outcome. It therefore means you make noise. Development communication focuses on this, and this is what you are doing. Your job is not, you're not doing PR. Your job is not your job is not public relations. You're not doing marketing communication. You are doing development communication. Your business about NGO is development communication. You are not doing public relations. You are not doing marketing. You're not selling. Although there's what we call communication for fundraising, which we are going to keep talking about. But in that communication for fundraising, you're talking about evidence and impact. You're talking about evidence and impact, not just noise. Have you asked yourself, all the noise Nigerian NGOs have made regarding electoral reform, have the politicians changed? In development communication, participation in development means before you invited them, and that's what most NGOs do, before you go to that community or before you go to the city to carry out any event, you already made up your mind what the outcome will be. You already have predetermined outcome. You are just bringing those people for them to come so that you take pictures. And you submit to funder that, we had women empowerment, or we did empowerment of voter education for women. Perhaps you've gone to Enugu State. You invited 50 women, put them in a round table, and all of them were talking. At the end of the day, you take pictures, make videos, submit to the founder. Then when they ask you, you say you carried out participatory meeting that they all came. But before you did that, what you did that, even if whatever they like, let them say, is never going to influence the decision. That is participation in development. So they call it performative development. But participatory development means that even before you did that, even before that meeting took place, you had gone to ask the community people, what do we do? What do we do? That's what they call development cycle. In development cycle, that's what they call the community people, the targets. In any case, NGOs call them beneficiaries. They are not beneficiaries. Nobody said they are co-creators. They are co-creators. They are not beneficiaries. Because in development sector, under dialogue and participation, that's what they call under the development cycle. Sorry, we have ideation. The communities must effectively participate in the project ideation. Ideation means they must be the one to decide, to think out. Even if you want to write this proposal, sometimes if you have the way, this is what I want to do, what do you think? You people will sit down and have what NGO people call brainstorming. But the community people need to sit down to say, ideation stage. The project must be participatory design, think about through the ideation stage. After the ideation stage, what we call design. All of you must participatory design it. After the next is what? Implementation. After the implementation, what is the next? You also do participatory M&E. Because in participatory M&E, that is when you ask the question, whose impact? It is the communities or the co-creators that will tell you whether this project, whether it was successful. It is not you sitting in your boardroom to say, we did a fantastic job. Every communication must build trust, evidence. Do you understand me? Communicate. You don't just make noise. You don't just come and say, you write from your press release. And the only way to get that is that development communication enables dialogue and participation. And that is why communication is dialogue. Communication is negotiation. Communication is empowerment. Communication is not information dissemination. And that's why before you people came, I was telling them, I cannot hire a journalist to be a communication officer. Because communication is not information dissemination. Need to understand CAP, knowledge, attitude, and practice. And that is why the idea of participatory dialogue and participation comes in now. And that is where the idea of development cycle comes in now. You cannot, Igbo people say you cannot barb a man, you cannot barb the hair of a man in his absence. I mean, that is what it is. You can't proffer solution for me, and I'm not part of the solution. You get the point? What worked in Kano cannot work in Imo, and what worked in Imo may likely not work in Bayelsa. And that is why, if somebody comes to say that I am a development expert, automatically for me is a red flag. Because there's no such thing like development expert. The highest you can do is to facilitate development. Nobody is a development expert because you learn and unlearn. As all of us are sitting down here, there are a lot of things you don't know that you teach me, and there are things I will teach you. And that's why I tell people, I am not an expert and I can never be. Let's leave those words. So, key question development communication asks is, what changed, for whom, and why? You need to ask by the time you finish your project. If you send me you send me your newsletter to look at, or if you write something and send it to me, Liberty, help me look at this, and I want to look how is this. Yeah. The first thing I ask, this is what I will look for. What changed? And for whom and why? The moment you answer this question, if you answer these questions, you are on the right path to be a very organization that people cannot because if you steal the money, let me tell you, if you steal the money, if they give you grants, and you decide not to do the right thing, you cannot answer these three questions. You cannot. If you didn't do the right job. You see, before I go to the next slide, let me say, all of us sitting here, are you aware that all of us, we are social doctors? In the same way medical doctors are, we are social doctors. And as social doctors, the same way if I'm sick, I go to hospital to get treated. The first thing doctor will tell is that go get a card. Once you get a card, the next thing is now go to lab. It is when you finish, when the lab test comes out, before they assign you, they know what is wrong with you and know the kind of doctor they will assign to you. And that doctor will collect the test and prescribe medicine and place you in treatment. That is how development is. We are social doctors. If there's a problem in Enugu State, if there's a problem and that's why if there's a problem somewhere, the first thing you should do as a communication person, the first thing you should do as a development person is you diagnose that solution, that problem. If you diagnose it, then the only way to diagnose it, or some of the best ways to diagnose it, is to involve the community people. That engagement, all those discussion, pre-conversation, engagement, consultation, that is the diagnosis. It is when you finish that, then you are able to come out to say, this is the problem. And you prescribe solution. And that is why, if you like, put all the money you're putting in MDGs and SDGs, nothing is going to change. So as a social doctor, your job is to diagnose the social problem and find out what the problem is before you recommend medicine. The medicine you're recommending are those interventions. Because if you recommend medicine, a wrong medicine, it is never going to cure that sickness. That is how social interventions are, development interventions are. So you're likely going to be a better communication officer.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, we hope so.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
If I should add, I think a lot of the things that you said here, you taught today are beyond just for NGOs, right? We can also implement it because I'm major in the IT marketing.
Okay.
Right? And I get to learn that visibility is beyond, it's not impact. Right? You can work for a brand and say, we need to push you out, we need visibility, we need to put you out there, and it's beyond that. But we get to show what this visibility was saying, how it has impacted the lives of people, how we have been able to get social and so in our work, and how what we have done has impacted them from how it has moved them from where they were to what they are today. So that's something that I take.
Basically said it all, but what I really took home with me is development communication. We should treat it as a process.
They should.
We should treat it as a process.
Okay.
Yes, we should not just think of, oh, I need to put maybe my content out there, disability. We should focus on impacts, our target audience, how it's impacted them, and then while telling the story, we should also get it down to evidence, not just we should show proof. We did this, we touched these people, and yes, sir. It was this whole class. It was really insightful, sir.
Okay.
Sir, thank you, sir.
So I'm not a bad teacher.
No, sir.
I think Dr. Liberty, I want to appreciate you. I want to thank you for your very eloquent, professorial presentation. You blended in your training. It was a blend of academic and real life, experience presentation and experience sharing. It made me understand the importance of community in development communication. You cannot talk about development communication without connecting it to community. It shows the importance of community,
The people.
collaboration with community in development communication. It also brought out, training brought out the full gamut of framework for development communication for an NGO. The framework for communication in an NGO. It's more than social media handling. It's more than content creation. The training went beyond public relation, advertising, just the work of the journalist. It goes beyond the work of the journalist. It shows that there is more to communication than we one had thought before now. It also shows the importance of training. Also threw up the importance of trust, integrity, character. If you want to partner with donor agencies and development partners, and for them to have confidence in you. So I want to use this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for your presentation.